Flight boss, bitch, you know, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of an Taurus Moon, Flight boss, the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, we're gonna talk about, goddamn it, happy flight day, happy flight, go. It's your flight day. All my motherfucking Geminis out there, we in motherfucking Gemini season right now, so say happy flight day to all you motherfucking Geminis out there, and I'm gonna explain the type of energy that we gonna be going in. Especially today, especially to motherfucking day and a little bit of tomorrow. You know, maybe almost the whole day of tomorrow, whatever, like, well, a little bit of tomorrow. But for the most part, this is what you need to understand. We're going into Gemini motherfucking season. So, well, we're in Gemini season. So this is the sun. So what is the sun? The sun is the ego, the conscious, what you're consciously aware of, how you act, how you see things. You know what I'm saying? The first shape and form that your spirit can inhabit to act out your expression. So once we're here, we start to get consciously aware of shit. The sun's sliding into Gemini right now. We're going to be consciously aware of ways of communicating, ways of intellect, ways of analyzing, and then look, this is mutable air. Mutable air. So this is being mutable and being able to adapt to your own or other people's ways of thinking and communicating. And based upon your own planetary alignments is going to be how well you're able to do that. Based upon your Gemini sun sign actually, or you're just going to be under these energies trying to grasp with your own elements to sustain yourself when the sun is going through Gemini. So if you like squaring with your sun, like if you got a sun in Pisces, sun in Sag, you know, it could go into many different scenarios right now. But for the most part, the Gemini is mutable air. Being mutable and being able to adapt to your own and other people's ways of thinking and communicating. And based upon your other planetary alignments, that's going to be how well you're able to do that. So for the most part, we got the sun going here. So this is what we're supposed to be consciously aware of. This is supposed to be our actions right now. So based upon you a square right now, this is a sextile to me by me being an Aries. So by me jumping into this with my Aries energy, by me jumping into the sun and Gemini energy, right, I'm able to create opportunities because sextiles create opportunities. So I'm able to create opportunities that support what? My actions, the way I act, how I see things, how I view things. So that'd be with my actions. If it was my moon, it'd be how I react. If it was, you see what I'm saying? Is you have to correlate with all your signs. But the moon is in Virgo right now. So this is the energy that's going on in the world right now. So this is the common theme. Anytime you see, and if you are a person who has the sun in Gemini and the moon in Mercury, this is the theme of you, right? Communicating your dis-ease or you know, communicating about your displeasing. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, when you look at Virgo, what is Virgo? Mutable earth. Being mutable, being able to adapt to your own way of thinking and being practical. So when you look at which ultimately is common sense. So this is why earth signs like to make sense out of things. You could always, like, if you got into an argument with somebody, or especially an earth sign, you could always look at an earth sign and be like, this person may be willing to talk, or this person may be willing to make sense out of the situation. So you feel more comfortable going up and, you know, getting your problems disclosed with an earth sign faster than a fire or water sign. You see what I'm saying? Second in command is air when we talk about relating and communicating. But look, for the most part, when we want to talk about the moon is how you react and how you respond to things. So by the moon being in Virgo right now, this is the things you need to be reacting and responding to. But think about what you're reacting and responding to. Mutable earth. Being mutable and being able to adapt to your own or other people's ways of thinking and being practical. So when you jump into that energy, you automatically jump into the nature of needing to criticize or look at the details of things. Now criticism is not always bad. It's just that's the ability that you have to use in order to see the details if something is wrong or right. So you could perfect something that may not be right. So, you know, that's the energy of Virgo. So for the most part, the moon is here right now. So the energy you feel is to react and respond to details and criticisms. Now look, the sun is in Gemini. So the sun is your actions, the way you act and how you see things. So you're going to have this extra energy to actually act on ways of communicating and seeing how other people think and how other people analyze. And this is going to be what you're paying attention to, what you're trying to get enlightened about, aka your sun. So for the most part, when you got the sun in Gemini right now and the moon in Virgo, this creates communicating your displeasing. So right now, the energy that's going on the earth right now, everybody want to communicate about something that they dislike right now. Everybody want to put out and logically communicate about something that may not be perfect, or something that may not be right, or something they may have seen as a flaw. And then that Virgo energy always wants you to perfect something. So it's always dealing with the health, or not just in health, the perfection energy in general. So anytime something's tarnished or anytime something's flawed, the Virgo energy like to nourish, like to care. It likes to you know what I'm saying, got a lot of the earth energy, and it like cares for the earth. This is why when you look at the Virgo sign itself, it got the wheat. She got the wheat and the bread. You see what I'm saying? So that's almost like she nourished, she take care of the earth. She water the plants and things of that nature. This is the mother of the earth and things of that nature. So when we get into astrology, so the moon being here, these are the things that the energy you feel the need to react and respond to. Because you're going to feel uncomfortable when things are not scheduled or planned, or not on task, or not on protocol. You see, when it's around you, any shape or form that's around you, whether that's a person, place, or thing, you're going to have a sense of uncomfortability. Then the sun being in Gemini is going to make you act on that uncomfortability. Because remind you, the moon is what motivates the sun. So now you want to act on what you're reacting to and responding to in the world that you are in, which is the moon tells us the world we are in. So the world we are in at the moment is Virgo energy. So we feel the necessary need to react and respond. And if you don't, see, for an example, say you have a square sun, or a square moon, or a square ascendant right now to the moon being in Virgo. So that means if you have Pisces, Sagittarius, or Gemini, which is the Pisces, Sagittarius is opposite. And then if you have Gemini on the sun, moon, or the ascendant. Now when it's related to the moon, right, this is a square and an opposite. So anytime you got a square and an opposite, you're not going to necessarily favor the energy that everybody else is in at the moment. So you're going to feel the necessary need to do things the way you do it. But the more you're not trying to relate and aspect your element with the current element that's on the earth at the moment, the more you're going to create catastrophic moments, or having to burn bridges, or disagreeing or opposing scenarios. See, this, you have to understand chemistry, alchemy. Anybody who don't truly understand astrology, they'll tell you in an indoctrinated way why they don't understand it, and that's their fault. You know what I'm saying? That they're not true. But look, all religions is telling you about astrology, and astrology is just about the body we are in, not just this body we are in, the body we are in. So once you know astrology, you're just basically knowing the location and the space that you are in. And you know in the location and the space of these other spaces and duplicate spaces. So you'll start to understand that space is just not all space. There's space within space. And once you understand space is vibrating in certain ways, this is why when you step in another space, you feel differently. And then depending on a bunch of spirits that been in that space at one point in time doing a bunch of that same energy with their own perception, it creates a aura around that space in general. So anytime you go in that space, you pick up that vortex, you pick up that vibration. That's why when you go in somebody else's neighborhood, nobody can have to be outside for you to feel the energy, how that neighborhood play. Then once motherfuckers start coming outside, you start seeing how that energy takes shape and form. You see what I'm saying? Same way you go into a school, a church, or whatever like that, you already feel the presence of the energy before anybody is even in there. So when you see people in shapes and forms that's in there, the shapes and forms that's taking place, that's playing out, that energy is in there, is just the representations of it. But the spirit that's in there is in the space that's in there is vibrating already in a certain vortex. And when a group of spirits come together and create a whole source of something like that, it got power to take shape and form in many different ways, in many different scenarios. And a lot of people can tap into it and take out what they want from it, or extract or whatever like that. But for the most part, that's what you have to understand. So when we talk about the sun being in Gemini, this is supposed to, the best to our ability. So if you have sun in Gemini right now, the ball is in your court. Now, depending on other planetary alignments within you, like I said, happy flight day. But depending on other planetary alignments in you, you can kind of block opportunities, block gifts, block your power, because the conjunction brings power. So eventually the sun is going to be conjuncting your sun if you are a Gemini. So happy flight day, like I said, once again. But for the most part, you know, what comes great power comes great responsibility. So anytime a conjunction go down in any scenario, you have to make sure that you're not being too power and controlling over other people in that area, but also not being too passive in that area. And learn how to balance and jump rope and play every scenario as it comes. And then therefore, you already have the power in that energy. So you could be a leader in that area and lead others by examples. So when I said whatever area that is, that's whatever planet, you got conjuncted. So if it's the moon, you got the power and authority over reactions, and you can control other people's reactions. You know what I'm saying? If it's and who they are. If it's Mercury, it's the way you think, communicate, and analyze. You have the ability to control how other people think, communicate, and analyze. Now you have to learn how to not take too power controlling over that, but learn how to not be too passive either. Because if you're around somebody and you just know that whatever they're thinking is wrong, and you have to correct them, then you have to learn how to balance. Once you dive into that realm, you don't know what I'm talking about. You'll be like, okay, I can't do that much as little, do little to this much this time. Okay, and this time I got to do this much of that. This, you see what I'm saying? You start to learn yourself. You have to learn yourself. Know thyself. So that's why it's important to that's why astrology is important. So don't listen to anybody else when they tell you that you're supposed to search for your fortune and shit like that. No, this gets you every day through life, period. Now, for the most part, with the sun being in Gemini and the moon being in Mercury, we also, I mean the moon being in Virgo. I always say, always get these mixed up because for the most part, Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. So this is a complementary. What's the word I'm looking for? Well, this complements. This is a square that complements each other. You know what I'm saying? See, you always had them squares or that kind of complements or in conjunctions that complement each other sometimes. For an example, when you look at Scorpio and Aries, that's an in conjunction that complements each other. When you look at Libra and Taurus, that's an in conjunction that complements each other. See, now when you look at Gemini and Capricorn, that's not an in conjunction that complements each other. You see what I'm saying? When you look at Gemini and Scorpio, that's not a in conjunction that complements each other. You know? So you have to break it down in scenarios, and the reason why I broke it down in that way because it's all about the planets. So when you think about the square, a lot of times that brings learning processes, a learning process. But neither of these could be good or bad. Or they could be good or bad or neutral. So it's neither of them. It could be either. It could take either shape or form. So good or bad or whatever like that. What y'all want to tie to something, whatever energy is taking these things, transcend that. But it can take the shape and form of being good or bad or neutral. And what do I mean by that? Now, in this case, a square represents a learning process. So the energy it came from is more back to support it, got more elements of the negative side than the positive side, but it still have both in it. You have to understand that. So when we talk about the square itself, it brings learning processes. Now, the learning process in your life could be good or bad based upon a person, place, or thing. If you have a square in your chart, you manifest situations in your life you have to learn from, whether it's a person, place, or thing, or being proved wrong. Now, right now, we're going through that with the sun and the moon. But the sun and the moon is in a favorable square because this square is actually ruled by the same planet, which is Mercury. Now, when you think about the square, that's learning. The learning process. When you think about Mercury, that's thinking, communicating, and analyzing, right? So when you put these two together, when you look at Mercury loves to think, communicate, and analyze. So when you put Mercury in a position that it likes to do, it end up becoming favorable. So these are people who may love to hate each other. It's even in real life where you have sun sign Geminis and sun sign Mercuries have a love-hate relationship. I mean, sun sign Mercury, sun sign Geminis and sun sign Virgos have a love-hate relationship. They're actually more alike than a lot of other signs. When they come together, they create an Aquarius-like energy. Because when you look at Aquarius, it's an air sign, but it's ruled by Saturn. So this is a person who like to think logical and have far-out thoughts, but know how to communicate it and bring it into reality. So and make it realistic. So that'll quote-unquote play out as an Aquarius as them being metaphorically good, or knowing how to do hypotheticals, or knowing how to be scientific, or knowing how to be sarcastic real well. But when you just talk about in general, when you talk about the sun being in Gemini and then you have the moon being in Virgo, now the moon is how you react and respond. So right now, the world that the moon is in right now is Virgo. So these are the natures you need to react and respond to and make part of who you are right now to sustain yourself through this astral travel that we're all going through as a solar system. Now the sun is how you act, how you see things, and what you're consciously aware of. So based upon your sun, to the best ability, you have to correlate and make harmonious sex with the energies that's going on right now, which is mutable air, which you need to be acting and paying attention and try to view your own and other people's ways of thinking, communicating, and analyzing effectively. So start getting more curious, you know what I'm saying, and don't utilize a lot of Mars at this moment. Now, for the most part, but with Mars being in Aquarius, it might even help. But I don't want to give anybody no secrets. I want to talk about the actual natures right now, what's actually going on. Because once you start getting into secrets, you start getting into witchcraft and shit like that, and I start showing y'all how to do chemistry and start making y'all doing spells and shit. Because what I was going to say is you can use Mars, because Mars in Aquarius. So the more you use your intentions is to look at a fixed way of communicating and make it solid, and then you can apply that to the sun. See, I don't want to make. I'm sorry, I don't want to make y'all so deep, man. This ain't deep. That's for some other shit. You know what I'm saying? You got to already be an astrologer yourself to know this kind of shit. But for the most part, you know, when we talk about Mercury. Now, Mercury is in Taurus, so the way you think, communicate, and analyze right now need to be fixated. You need to have your own fixed thoughts, but you need to correlate and see your thoughts all the way through. And that's for all fixed signs. You need to stay fixated on something. So right now, when you got an idea, you need to think properly on it, but fixate yourself on it and correlate it. Make sure you see that shape and form, that shape take form all the way through. Meaning staying fixated on something. In an Earth way, how you stay fixed on it. What is Earth? Fixed Earth to be exact, which is Taurus. Fix is being fixated, so it's the condensed version of all the elements, which is the fixed. And when you got it Earth, this is the building of the Earth. So Capricorn would be like the blueprint, the structure, the drawing out of how the building will look. So this would make Capricorns more bossy, but the initiative, cardinal signs, is before you see it in the shape and form. It's in the realm of reality before it takes shape and form. It's the spirit of that element. Then when you come to the fixed signs, they're the actual energy of that element into a shape and form, and however that shape and form relate to the realm it's in, that's what you're going to see. So the fixed signs is the condensed version, and the fixed and the shape and form and the energy realm, which you can see from that element. Then the mutable sign is the transformation, when the shape and form needs transforming, needs to take another shape and form and get ready to go back to the cardinal aspect. So it's on a broad, scattered, more broad level. So mutable signs come from broad perspectives. You know what I'm saying? They look at things from broad perspective and they add on to the idea. Cardinal signs initiate and create the idea. Fixed signs correlate and hold on to the idea and see it all the way through to you actually can receive the fruits and labor for it. So it all work with each other. You see what I'm saying? So when you think about Taurus, right? Taurus is fixed Earth. So it's being the way. Now Mercury is how you think, communicate, and analyze. So since Mercury is in Taurus right now, to the best of your ability, you need to think, communicate, and analyze in that way. And the more that you disregard that, the more you're going to find yourself stumbling and falling and missing the details of things. Now, for the most part, and not learning effectively. So with Taurus, Taurus is fixed Earth, being fixated on its own way of thinking and being practical. So the thoughts, aka Mercury, the way you're thinking and communicating and the thoughts you're receiving, you need to condense it. So don't be quick to don't be quick to tell people information that you may not know. Don't be quick to tell somebody what your friend just told you. Don't be quick to run your mouth. Don't be quick to speak your 2 cents before you're fully aware of something. You see what I'm saying? Soak it in, because Earth is yin yang. See, because Earth is part of the left brain, so left brain is automatically yang, which is dealing with the external realm. But Earth is naturally yin, so by nature is feminine by nature. So it's yang yin. It's the left brain of the yin, because air is the yang yang. See what I'm saying? Just like the right side, on your right brain is fire and water. So there are both the fillers, but they fill in different ways. Fire is the yang yin, because fire is the right brain yang. So right brain is automatically yin, you know what I'm saying, by default. So fire signs create visions. So they create expressions for the inner world to express in the yang realm, so people can see what's going on inside them. That's why a lot of times fire signs can't hold on what's inside them, whether it's feelings, expressions, visions, imaginations, whatever. I am a fire sign. You can't tell me no different. Now, water signs, that's the yin yin. Same way air is the yang yang, water is the yin yin. So by nature, water is yin, but water is also right brain, and right brain by nature is yin. So a lot of times water signs go deep into depth. They may hold on to things, whether excitements or grudges, but a lot of times once they soak in that realm of reality, this is what makes them psychic. Because when you soak into an emotion or a feeling, that's a world. This is why the moon is correlated, and it's a water planet or a water star. Because once you soak in an emotion or a feeling or a color, you soak in that world. Now you end up knowing that world better than others, because you know the depth of that world, how you can die in that world, how you can live, how you can sustain in that world. And that world is your feelings and emotions and whatever that's correlated in. You know what I'm saying? So for the most part, when other people go into depth or they go through scary situations in their life, this is why water signs are psychic, or they know how to console people, or they know how to seem concerning, because they know what you're dealing with, or they know what you're getting ready to deal with that you may not have perceived, because you may be an air or earth sign who may have not dived that deep, or you may be a fire sign who don't like to soak in the emotion. You like to release it. You don't like to soak in the feeling. You like to release it. So a lot of times when you release it before soaking in it to see what it would actually do, you release it too fast. So it'll come out like lightning and fire. And as a fire sign, it might burn bridges to the point that you acted too fast and you didn't observe the situation. And that's where water signs can help fire signs with the feeling. But it goes deep into a lot of areas. This video ain't about that. This video is about motherfucking the energies we're going on to right now. So let me get back on track. You know, when we talk about Taurus, that's fixed earth. So make sure that your thoughts and the way that you're communicating is you're fixating yourself on those thoughts and seeing it all the way through before you put it out, before it's undone. It's almost like, say your mind, which is Mercury, you put the food, which would be Taurus right now, you put the food in the oven, which would be the thoughts, the ideas, and the things that came to you. Now, don't take the food out the oven before it's done. You know what I'm saying? Let it fix, let it cook, let it nourish. Then present it and cut it up and slice it up and put it on the table for everybody to eat. You see what I'm saying? Because if it's undone, you're just going to have a bunch of complaints on the table, and people are going to think you can't cook, and people are going to think what you just cooked was nasty because you didn't let the turkey cook all the way. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, with the Mercury being in Taurus, you got to fixate with thoughts that's coming on your head, and make sure you see it all the way through before you bring it out in the yang realm and externalize it. Because like I said, Earth is motherfucking yin left brain. So that means they take in what they see from the external realm. So they practicalize it, make sure it makes sense. This will make earth signs conservative and reserved. They soak it in, make sure it makes sense. Then they present it out as a shape and form. And a lot of times you might not even know how they feel, because it may be all business and not personal. So what they soaked in, they created the shape and form inside them already. Then they play it out as aggression or passion or motivation to create another shape and form from it, to the point that you think these motherfuckers is unemotional. They just all about that moolah. And a lot of times they is, and they know how to get it. But motherfucker, we gonna get into something else, because I get lost, and y'all know how I get lost into so many scenarios to break down energies. But for the most part, yeah, that's motherfucking Mercury and Taurus. Now, Venus is in motherfucking Cancer right now. So I spoke about that. I got a video about this. So y'all know y'all supposed to be loving and appreciating and valuing your vibe right now. Don't jump into any vibe that ain't your vibe right now, because you ain't gonna like what you make out of that. Because you're constantly mixing up. You're constantly being an alchemist. You're constantly in chemistry class. You got your own natal alignment. You got your own energies. And then when you step out in the world and relate to other people, places, and things, you're mixing with their energies. And then both of y'all lights come together in the middle, which is an orb, and that creates another realm, another world. And that world could create and take shape and form based upon how much energy y'all putting into that, or it could be lightened up and spread out thin into the other world as just thoughts and take shape and form somewhere else, whoever vibrating on that frequency. But you know, for the most part, we're constantly creating alchemy with ourselves. So, you know, right now it's very important to love and appreciate and value your vibe. Because the moment that you start to, you know, compromise, which is also Venus. Venus is love, appreciate, value, and what you're willing to compromise, whether it's a person, place, or thing. Venus also step you into bad habits and make you do things in moderation once you get too lost into bad habits. But like I said, once you start to compromise with the people, places, and things in your life that you may